In today's video, we have breaking news. A federal appeals court has ruled against President Trump when it comes to deploying troops to Chicago. Secondly, the people of Chicago are fighting back as they just handed down an indictment. And the former President Barack Obama issued an insane announcement. In all these stories, we're going to show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
We're just getting this in. A federal appeals court ruling that the National Guard troops in Illinois can stay under federal control, but they cannot be deployed. As the ongoing legal fight between the Trump administration and the state continues, the court agreed to temporarily pause part of a lower court's order this week that halted any deployment within Illinois for 2 weeks. The appeals court says that troops do not have to return to their home states unless they are ordered by a court to do so.
Okay, so here we go again. We have judicial tyranny on our hands, and let's make sure we understand what this ruling said. That the president is allowed to federalize National Guard troops, but he is not allowed to have them protect federal assets, particularly the ICE detention facility. He's not allowing them to do anything in the city of Chicago. I wonder why. It's just crazy when you actually hear this ruling. Now, there's a little bit more on this, but first let's get this reaction from Newsmax because the way that they put it, I thought made a lot of sense. Take a listen.
Rob, I mean, this is, again, where these lower court judges are basically usurping the authority of the executive to do what he is constitutionally supposed to do since these local officials refuse to protect life and property.
Yes, that's where I see the dismantling of democracy happening, by letting lower court judges interfere with administrating our society by the chief executive officer. And the irony is they're here to arrest criminals, not immigrants, not grandma and grandpa who are coming in to open a pizzeria or a bagel shop like my grandparents did. They opened a pharmacy. They're here to commit crimes, to kill, rape, sell drugs.
But that doesn't matter for people who do not like what President Trump is doing with these National Guard troops. I guess they don't like common sense decision making, because that's exactly what this is. If we cannot protect our federal assets by using the local law enforcement agencies, then what we're going to do is send in the troops and send in additional federal agencies to make that happen. I'm not seeing what the problem is. And if you guys can identify it, please put it in the comment section below. But let's not be surprised here, because we know they're soft on crime overall, which is why this TRO was initially issued immediately, which I also find to be interesting. But it's that the local justice system continues to make ridiculous mistakes. But I don't think the people of Chicago is going to go for it, because they just indicted the criminals who ran the ICE officers off the road. Take a look.
Some new developments this morning in the woman shot by federal agents in Brighton Park. A grand jury has indicted Mari Martinez and Anthony Ian Santos Ruiz. Now, this is video of Martinez after she was released from custody. The indictment stems from an incident last Saturday where the two are accused of ramming a car into federal agents. Now they are indicted for assault and attempted murder of a federal employee. Martinez is due in court later today as well to answer to federal charges in the same incident.
See, this is why Democrats have suffered another blow, because Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and the Governor J.B. Pritzker, they're hoping that the public opinion will sway their way in a sense, right? But according to what we just heard, a jury of their peers indicted them, which means there's evidence that they did commit a crime. This is a huge blow because it goes counter to their narrative. They're saying it's the president, it's the ICE officers who are breaking the law. No, it's not. It's the people you continue to radicalize with your ridiculous rhetoric, okay? That's exactly what's going on, which is why at this ICE detention facility, Broadview, they're now putting up cement blocks to protect that facility and prevent people from even getting close. Take a look at this. Yeah, that looks like something they should have done since day one. Okay. When these protests and riots started to become a daily habit, they should have brought those out sooner. But the good thing is they've done it. But I'm not too sure that's going to stop people from showing up and causing havoc, which is why I have this next clip to show you where more protesters were arrested this morning outside of this facility. Take a look. Okay, so this is an interesting story. My wife 5 years ago kept warning me about fluoride. And of course, I didn't listen, just like the average husband. And then studies started to pile up. And I'm talking about studies that say drinking fluoride, especially for children, may lower IQ. And get this, pesticides are also leaking into our water supply. And one of these pesticides, called atrazine, was proven to cause feminization and chemical castration in frogs. I know it sounds crazy, but it's real. So you know what I did at that point? I admitted I was wrong and didn't listen. But I got my family and I CoPure. Now, what is this? It's a water filtration machine. It takes tap water through 4 stages and reverse osmosis cycle and delivers clean, tasting water. And the one thing I love about it is you could choose the temperature of the water that you want, and you can also monitor the water quality. So if you want clean tasting water for yourself, you can get $200 off today by going to copure.com/Savory, or you could click the link in the description below. I mean, these people are emotionally, mentally unwell if you truly think about it. And I mean, just think about it. It's a Saturday, okay? You're out there screaming, threatening law enforcement. You know, if you actually hear what they're saying, it's not, hey, I disagree with you. It's, hey, mofo, or I'm going to come after you. I'm going to kill you. You're going to, I mean, it's some crazy stuff. And I think it takes a crazy person to get caught up in stuff like that. So, of course, we have some reactions from the mayor and the governor. But before I show you that, let's have a little laugh. Here is Clown Lemon once again, interviewing people on the street once again, in Chicago once again, where he hears exactly what he doesn't want to hear. Take a listen.
Okay, crossing the border illegally is not a crime?
No, it's not a criminal act. Okay. It's a misdemeanor.
So why are they being sent back and saying that they're breaking the law?
That's the point.
Okay, as somebody that actually...
We don't know if they're breaking the law because they won't tell. There's no due process. Where's the evidence? That's the whole point. And if they are breaking the law, most people will say, okay, then they need to go if they're criminals. But if they're not, why are they being rounded up and sent out? Especially when he promised to deport the criminals. And now he's not doing that.
Yeah, I don't think we're going...
Misdemeanor is not a crime. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So misdemeanor is not a crime?
It's not a criminal act, no. If you get charged with a misdemeanor, that's not a criminal act.
So why get charged at all then, if it's not a criminal act?
Because we have different levels of crime. Everything is not the same.
So it is crime.
No,
it's just
we have
different levels.
We have different levels of. I shouldn't say crime, but it's not. It's not a crime. You're not breaking the law. I mean, you are breaking the law, but it's not a criminal act.
So it's breaking the law.
No,
the law, but
you're not breaking the law.
The misdemeanor is not breaking the law.
No.
So if you're speeding, drinking, get pulled over, DUI.
That's not a criminal act. Well, no, if you're speeding is a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor.
Right.
So it's still breaking the law.
Okay, well, if you want to qualify that, we're doing semantics.
Because
But what I'm
saying,
but what I'm trying to tell you is everything is not the same. It's all not one thing.
But is it the...
I mean, imagine working for CNN as long as he did, having the experience that he has, and he's getting educated by people who don't do this as a livelihood, as a profession. I just find it interesting. This guy is so ignorant around this stuff. I don't care if you cross the border illegally or you commit murder. If you commit a crime and you're not from this country, you should be deported. That's it. Bottom line, you should be held accountable. And I'm not going to play this game like Jasmine Ghetto Crockett likes to play. Well, hey, if you break the law, that doesn't make you a criminal. I'm not going to play that game. We're not stupid here, okay? People should be held accountable, and that is the bottom line to it. Now, speaking of accountability, something that Mayor Brandon Johnson is allergic to, clearly, because here's what he had to say in response to everything this morning. Take a listen.
Obviously, you are talking to people in Chicago and by definition the nation in this moment, and you need to express a bunch of these things, right? One is this is likely not legal, but more importantly, this administration, Stephen Miller, Russ Vought, Donald Trump, they're looking for confrontation. They're confrontation seeking at this point to justify their Insurrection Act.
That's exactly right. You know, the president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, has made it very clear that he has declared war on the city of Chicago. In fact, as you've indicated, he has declared war against American cities across this country. And what he is promulgating is very clear. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's unnecessary, and it's dangerous. And I'm using every single tool that's available to me to defend the people of this fine city, to protect our democracy, and of course, to protect our humanity as well.
Well, isn't that interesting? He says that the president is declaring war on Chicago. No, it's the gangs and criminals that have declared war on Chicago, and the president is seeking to do something about it while you sit by and allow it to happen. That's exactly what's going on. And again, I think we continue to say this a lot now, which is Democrats lack critical thinking skills. There's no way you can hear what he just said and conclude that he is 100% right. He is not. Okay, the president is not declaring war on Chicago. Okay, he is doing exactly what he said he was going to do: mass deportations and cracking down on crime. That's really the bottom line to it. Now, let's go to this next clip, because here is J.B. Pritzker offering up his hoax. Now, remember, I talked about this before, but this is what he's hoping the rest of the Democrat Party will start repeating, which is the only reason why you're seeing National Guard troops deployed to Democrat cities and ICE officers is because they're trying to position them in a way that when the midterm election rolls around, you're going to have military personnel handling ballots. And basically, he's saying that the president's going to use the military to steal the election. Take a listen.
Another thing that's happened, and very few people paying attention, you probably are, which is they demanded, the DOJ did, our voter data. Not just ours in Illinois, every state's voter data. Why? They won't tell us why. And actually, what they seem to be looking for, remember back to the 2020 elections, is they want to be able to find voter fraud, which lots of organizations have been looking for voter fraud, as you know, for a long time. There's very little voter fraud going on, very little. They're calling for all these databases so that they can look through them, and yet they won't tell you when they're going to come up with any conclusion about whatever it is they're looking for. Next year, when we have a November election, I think you're going to see two things that occur. One, you won't have had any results from this mass collection of data, of voter data. And then the second is you're going to have soldiers or people dressed as soldiers at polling places saying, we're protecting your voting rights. This is about voter integrity. And then the possibility that they'll be doing what Michael Flynn urged the president to do back in 2020, which is seize the ballot boxes at the polling places so that we can have the military do a fair count.
Hey, what do you guys make of that type of interesting conspiracy? Do you believe that's exactly what the president is seeking to do? What evidence do we have that that is a fact or that is likely to happen? I haven't seen anything of the kind, of course. But on the more merits of the case here, which is something that Democrats want to avoid, if you're going to continue to allow and make excuses for the former president who clearly created a crisis by malpractice, allowing people to just cross the border illegally, and we're not talking about 1,000 people, right? Some of the numbers from 10 to 20 to 30 million people. That's one of the largest numbers I heard. It doesn't really matter. The point is, it's a crisis. And the president is doing something about the crisis. And instead of Democrats helping, they are literally trying to handicap the president from solving this problem. And let me just remind you guys, this is a governor who says he cares about black people. This is a mayor who says he cares about black people. The people who are impacted the most by all this in Chicago are black people. So I just, again, find that interesting that he wants to fight against this. And now we go to our next update regarding Israel and Hamas. So Ivanka Trump, Witkoff are now in Tel Aviv. They're actually just wrapped up speaking to a group of people who have been protesting and wanting to see these hostages return home. I'm going to show you a few clips of that. But first, it is being confirmed once again that the president will be in Israel. He will be traveling there on Monday because he's expecting that the hostages will be released on Monday. Take a listen.
Right now, President Trump confirming he will travel to both Israel and Egypt on Monday to discuss the future of Gaza, including details on how it will rebuild and who will govern. National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin joins us live from Tel Aviv. Good morning, Jennifer.
Hi, Charlie. Well, about 500,000 Palestinians have already returned home since that ceasefire began. Fox News obtained an exclusive photo of the president's special Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, visiting Gaza. He was accompanied by the lieutenant general in charge of the IDF staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir. He was also accompanied by Admiral Brad Cooper, the head of CENTCOM. They were visiting the base where the IDF troops had pulled back to, and in order to observe the ceasefire. Admiral Cooper released the following statement, quote, "Just returned from a visit inside Gaza to inform how we are moving forward to establish a CENTCOM-led civil military coordination center that will synchronize activities to support post-conflict stabilization. America's sons and daughters," he writes, "in uniform are answering the call to deliver peace in the Middle East in support of the Commander-in-Chief's direction in this historic moment. This great effort will be achieved with no U.S. boots on the ground in Gaza."
And obviously that is a big update and a good clarification, because you had some reports talking about how U.S. troops have landed in Gaza, and that's not true. That's not happening. Okay. But more importantly, no matter where you stand on this issue, I think we all can agree that the president deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. We talked about it already, okay? He should have already gotten one. And he's done more to end this war than anybody else has. And when I say anybody else, I'm really talking about Democrats and Joe Biden and his administration, etc. So I think it's a great time to show you a clip of the person who did win the Nobel Peace Prize, because she was on Fox and Friends this morning explaining why she dedicated her prize to the president. Take a listen.
And they decided to dedicate it to President Trump because he deserves it. Because not only has he been involved in only a few months in solving 8 wars, but his actions have been decisive to have Venezuela now at a threshold of freedom after 26 years of tyranny that have destroyed the lives of millions of Venezuela, destabilized the region, and undermined the institutions in the United States, because having Venezuela as a safe haven of the enemies of the United States and using our territory and our resources to hurt the American people and American institutions is certainly a threat to the national security of the United States and the security of the hemisphere. But President Trump has been very clear, courageous in terms of dismantling this criminal structure. And on behalf of the Venezuelan people, I reaffirmed our gratitude and our commitment to this cause for the whole America. So I insist he deserves it.
Yeah, see, this is a great life lesson, something that really came to me when I was watching her speak, which is that sometimes the best thing in life is not actually getting the award. It's the fact that people know you made such a huge impact that they want to dedicate their award to you. I think that speaks volumes than actually getting it. And that's my own personal opinion on it. But I don't think everybody sees it that way. Even though this is phenomenal what the president has been able to achieve here, there are still Democrats running to mainstream media downplaying all this, and some are still trying to push the idea that he doesn't even deserve this. Take a listen.
I want to ask you about other news of day, and that would be what's happening in the Middle East, where a ceasefire is now in effect between Israel and Hamas. All of the living hostages are expected to be returned in the coming days. It is still tenuous, but that is the expectation. How much credit does President Trump deserve for this remarkable agreement?
Well, this does need to end the terrible, terrible tragedy we've seen the last couple of years. It's been awful. Over 60,000 civilians have been killed or are starving right now. This must end. October 7th was a terrible disaster. So the proof is going to be in how this is executed. I am cautiously optimistic that this is going to get done. We need to return the hostages. We need to end the fighting. We need to get food and aid into Gaza so that Palestinian people stop starving. And we need a solution that allows both parties, Israel and the Palestinians, to have peace, safety, security, and self-determination.
Now, isn't that interesting? He couldn't even come out and just say what the reality is. He reminds me of somebody else who just did the same thing, and that was Barack Obama. He put up this statement on X talking about how happy he is to hear this peace agreement was made, but refused to name Donald Trump as the person responsible for it. Now, just so you guys understand how people of Israel, or who were part of this event where Ivanka Trump was located, how they feel about all this, here's a short clip from Wolf Blitzer, who says that he heard so many people shouting their support for the president, but also wearing MAGA hats.
And of course, endless applause for President Trump. Endless applause for President Trump.
And when I was there, I even saw people wearing Make America Great Again hats in that crowd over at Hostage Square.
I mean, that is just something to hear, that even Wolf Blitzer is acknowledging the influence and how people have reacted to this, especially people in Israel. Again, no matter what side you're on, I think we all can agree we want peace. That is our common ground here. And if ending this war in this way can bring some level of peace, even if it's short-lived, let's say a couple of years, that's better than no peace. And maybe that's enough time for some people in that region to leave, to move, to whatever is going to happen with these people. It gives them some time, some relief. And I think that is a positive. And let's not forget the most important thing, that the hostages are finally going to come home, whether they're alive or are dead, their bodies will come home. And I think for the families, that matters. That needs more attention. Now, what's interesting about all this, if we stay on this topic of the Nobel Peace Prize, even someone as unhinged and delusional as Abby Phillips on CNN is calling out the former President Barack Obama for, ghosting the president in his messaging. Take a listen.
President Obama put out this post talking about the peace deal and the prospects of it. And Don Jr. responded to it. I'll finish it for you. Thank you, Donald Trump. Honestly, it's not unfair to say if President Obama's going to write a whole post about a peace deal, maybe he should acknowledge the president that brokered it.
Yeah, maybe he should have, just like all the other things Democrats should have been doing all this time, which led to the president being elected not once, but twice, if you really think about it. But that's a whole nother conversation. So instead of the former president, Barack Obama, coming out and adding clarifying messages to his original post, you know what he did? He uploaded this video on X today talking about President Trump again, refused to say his name, but I think you guys are going to catch on to what he means. Take a listen.
Like many of you, I've become increasingly concerned about the rising wave of authoritarianism sweeping the globe. We're seeing politicians target civil society, undermine freedom of the press, weaponize the justice system. And no one is being spared. Even countries that thought they were immune from wholesale assaults on democracy now understand we're all part of this struggle. That's an enormous challenge, but it also means we can learn from each other. I recently sat down with 3 leaders who are part of the Obama Foundation's alumni network to discuss their work in Hungary and Poland, 2 countries on the leading edge of confronting autocracy.
I mean, I think it's an easy argument to make that a lot of the stuff that we are dealing with in our country is a result of him, the former president, Barack Obama. I mean, a lot of people were sold on him initially, and man, did he do a 180. He truly did. Think about it. We were talking about Chicago just earlier in this video. What has he done for Chicago? He's from Chicago. He was the junior congressperson from Chicago. What did he ever do about crime? Nothing. What did he do about crime when he was the president? Nothing. It's always been a problem there. And you can't say he couldn't do anything because they said that same idea about the border, and we see what happened there. And then we see what the president right now, Donald J. Trump, did in Washington, D.C. So I don't want to hear about what a president can't do. They can do anything they set their mind to. Let's not forget about the classical lessons of life. It starts with our mental attitude before the event itself that really dictates the outcome. I don't think he ever really had a mental attitude of changing Chicago or doing right by this country. Now, either he made conscious decisions to set us on this path, or there are people within the federal government still till this day calling the deep state that has really guided this country in a destructive way, in my opinion. But I digress. I just think it's laughable that he couldn't even bring it himself to congratulate President Trump. So having said all that, why don't I get your guys' thoughts in the comments section below. First, what did you think of the message from the former president? Let me know how you feel about that. What about this update that people were wearing MAGA hats at Hostage Square, where Ivanka Trump and Witkoff were speaking? The president will be there tomorrow at Israel, and that's when the hostages are supposed to return. What did you make of Clown Lemon getting educated by the people of Chicago? And then this federal judge, particularly the Federal Appeals Court, has ruled against the president. He can federalize the National Guard. He just can't send them to Chicago. I don't understand how that works, but you guys let me know how you feel about everything we discussed in this video and more in the comments section below. Now, in our next video, John Bolton has got some nightmare news. It is being reported that he's on the verge of receiving a federal indictment. So we talked about that update and more from yesterday. And if you want to see that, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.